Yo, bro, how you doing? Welcome back to another coaching lesson.
Good man, how about you?
Pretty good, man. So, what is your plan for today? What are you thinking about going over?
ZvP, it's been giving me a hell of a time lately. So I have a couple of replays, or one, however long it takes
Sure.
to do, and yeah, I guess just that.
What's your current league again? Just to refresh my memory.
Diamond 2.
Okay. So we got a Diamond 2. We got Diamond 2 action going on and ZVP.
Yep.
What's been like your kind of your gameplay, your game plan in your games lately? You've been going like gasless styles or
Um, I can go gaseous styles, but like I won't default to that.
Mhm.
I'll do 16 hatch. I'll take a third at 28. Um, and then I'll send in a scout, around 3:30 and go from there from what I see. Usually it's, some kind of roach ravager, ling, bane, heavier bane if it's heavier charge lot. And then I'll try to get to broodlord infestor.
Okay. Yeah.
But that late game army, I mean, it's hard to control broodlord infestor, right? That late game army that they have, just if I make one small little mistake, it's the, I get
Yeah.
disintegrated.
For sure. Broodlord Infestor definitely has it's if the situation's right and the game has like developed into a situation where you're way ahead, it's really easy. But
Mhm.
if the game is even or even if you're behind, it definitely is really hard to deal with if like your opponent has like Oracle, Tempest, Archon Storm, stuff like that. Like it could definitely be a lot harder to deal with. So,
Mhm.
yeah, well, I don't know. We'll look at everything. Look at your build, make sure your build is still refined and still flowing well and stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah, as always, feel free to interrupt me as much as you want, even if I'm mid sentence. If you have something you want, if like a thought you want to get across,
Mhm. Okay.
and
Cool.
yeah, man, we're gonna break this down right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, I'm gonna speed it up just a little bit, just to kind of get going into it.
Mhm.
Uh, so you say you like to go 16 hatch. I like that a lot. As always, you get the hatchery done before the probe gets there. It's super important.
Yeah.
Um, gas then pool. I'll see what you do with that. It's totally fine. I have no problem with it. I will say, once again, just as like a kind of a way this build goes though. I mean, we'll see what you do in the mid game, but you really need to be doing some type of map control as well if you go for speedlings like this. Like if you play defensive only speedlings, it's not worth it.
Even these four, just these four.
Well,
Um.
it's the fact that you invested into gas at all. If you invest into speed like this,
Oh.
you should do something active on the map with it.
Wow.
All it does is it kind of sets your build behind a little bit if your whole goal is to be defensive.
It's just when I go gasless. What if I scout, a DT drop? Am I just fucked or?
No, like we don't have to really like we can just kind of bypass gasless for now
Yeah.
because you're not even doing it. I don't want to make everything sound confusing and make like talk about a build you're not even doing.
I
But
have a gasless replay actually, but
we could look at it if you want to, but
yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there. I'll give you some ideas and some timings. It's not that hard and not that difficult to do. It's just something you should do if you get speed links.
Okay.
So the general idea is I like your four lings early on. They're good. I like the fact that you ripped off 2 drones off gas. That's also nice. Your third timing is fine. Everything up to this point is totally fine.
Mhm.
Um, the one thing I would say though is as soon as you have 2 bases fully saturated, uh, and let's say you scouted a natural from your opponent, so you know for he's not 1 base all inning you. I would
Yeah.
love it if you then would also make, let's say, like 8 drones, 6 to 8 drones on your third base. So you're still down right now by like 16 drones essentially, or something like that, or like 18 drones. So you'd still would make a hefty chunk of drones from where you are right now. But once you're at 2.5 bases saturated, I would love it if you would make like an additional like 16 lings on top of what you already have. And what these lings do
Okay.
is that's perfect timing if you're gonna go deny his third base or like
It's third.
delay his third
Gotcha.
base, and that's all it is. That's the only thing I'm trying to tell you with the whole like you need to be aggressive kind of thing. Because if you
Mhm.
don't do that,
Okay.
it's you invest into something that is it has the ability to take advantage of that, and you're not taking advantage of it.
Hmm. So lately I've been delaying one queen and getting overlord speed instead. Um,
Like for like the
I,
follow up 3 and 4 queens, you mean?
yeah, so I'll delay queen, you know, 3 or delay queen 4
Yeah,
and get overlord speed at the natural.
sure.
Um,
If you would have to keep mining gas for that though, but if you really want to do that, I'm not opposed to that.
mm,
It'll definitely it'll slow you down a little bit, but at the same time, it'll also give you more of an exact read as to what you're up against. So it could give you
mm.
more, you know, like more of a safety net, I guess, for you to be like, you no longer have to guess what he's doing. Uh,
I can do it with slow overlords, like I can, and I did it before the patch, so I'm kind of on the fence about it
yeah,
still.
I personally I don't really like getting overload speed. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm more of a I like to have 1 or 2 overlords around his base, and you kind of just figure out what's going on through that.
Mhm.
Because you can also figure out a lot about what Protoss is doing if you look at the front of their base, just with a Zergling, and the fact that you're getting speedlings is also huge to allow you to do that, because like if you look at the front of his base right now and you were to like let's say run a ling up there, and you go, oh okay, he's got an adept and he's got a zealot. The fact that he has no stalker and the fact that he has no sentry, it,
Stargate.
yeah, exactly. It makes it a
Yeah.
lot less like it's not a guarantee, but it makes it a lot less likely that he's going for a Robo or a Twilight Council. However, if you were to scout, like let's say now you see 3 adepts instead of the 1. If you were to scout by the time these had finished, I'd be like, okay, there still is a chance for a Stargate, but now there also is a chance that there could be a Twilight Council, and maybe he's going to do an adept timing or something like that.
Well,
Like it
that's
makes
fine.
more sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um, for like Marjorie and stuff though, is kind of what I was more worried about. Like actually, and the DT drop too, but like I said, I could do it with the slow overlords, so I don't.
Yeah. Well, one thing too, something you can do. If you want to get Overlord speed, then you'll see it. But if you end up not getting Overlord speed, and you're like, shit, I don't know if I am playing against DTs, I'm not sure. Maybe you could actually throw down 1 spore per mineral line, right around 4 minutes, like 4 minute to 4:05, and
Mhm.
that will actually be cheaper than getting Overlord speed early on, because you'll be deviating a little bit of your economy later on when you have more of it, so it's less impactful. And it's something that's pure minerals, so you'll have more drones than you would have otherwise. It doesn't cost any gas to do that. So if you're not
Okay.
sure, you could just like right at 4 minutes, throw down 1 sport per mineral line, and now you're safe from DTs, just walking in and killing you.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
And it would just be also we kind of talked about some other stuff, but I wanted to talk about what you're doing right now. Uh, I paused it here because I did not like that you made a bunch of lings. You made another 8 lings right here, and I'm not a huge fan of that.
Mhm.
I think you have all the means, all like everything is in your power to just make drones right now. There's nothing you really need to be afraid of, because at the most, if he were to walk across the map and attack you right now, at most he could
Two
have like 2
adepts is
adepts.
what I'm.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Uh,
How many links do I need?
Against 2 adepts, you could have 4 or 6 lings, and
Okay.
especially with speed, and you'd be fine, because
Okay.
you would never want to fight them off creep or away from your queens. You would let the adepts come like into contact with the queen, and then you would engage with your zerglings, which means he's going to be on
Oh,
creep as
okay.
well. Because
Yeah.
if he fights your queens and your zerglings, you will be able to pick off an adept before your lings die, guaranteed.
Mhm. Okay.
But making an
And
extra,
he
oh, go ahead.
shades, if he shades into the, I mean, of course I gotta follow him with the lings, yeah.
So here's how you deal with it if he shades. If he runs at your base and he casts, let's say he's running towards your natural and he casts a shade into your main base, your
Yeah.
queen would go smack his ass in the natural, and your lings would go chase the shade,
Okay.
and then you're good to go. And then if he shades into the main, now your queen in your main starts fighting him, and your lings jump on the shade.
Okay.
And if he were to do something like he cancels the shade in your main, even though you chased it, and now he's running at the drones in your natural, you could then run back to your natural with your lings and kill it, and you'd be fine. Because if the fact that you have speed means you can get around really fast now. You have no issues being kited by these shades.
Mhm.
If he ever cancels the shade and he's still deep in creep, that adept is going to die.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And then it comes down to like if you want to be fancy about it, maybe like try to pull like 1 or 2 drones away that are getting shot, or turn them into spores and save them if he commits to killing himself like that.
Mhm.
Otherwise, a lot of Protosses won't actually do that. A lot of Protosses will shade in, and then they'll either commit to it or cancel it, and that's about it. I would say,
Yeah, they're just scouting.
yeah, like most Protosses who like actually micro the shade, and then also at the same time micro the actual adept, and like try to force drone kills this way. That is a higher level thing. Most
Yeah.
Protosses Diamond don't actually understand how to maximize that, I would say.
Mhm.
But yeah, right now, if you had an extra 4 drones instead of eight more Zerglings, you would just be getting to that point a lot faster. You'd already be pretty much fully saturated on your natural.
Mhm.
And then again, 8 drones on your third is what I would be like looking for, and then you make some Zerglings, because then that would be, you would be making those lings if he were to be doing any type of a timing of like, okay, now he shows up with 5 adepts, and now it's kind of scary. Suddenly you have 20 to 24 lings, and you can crush it. Or he just doesn't attack you at all, and now you go kill his third.
Okay.
So yeah, just yeah.
What time was that? That I go,
Okay, just
or is it just 2 base saturation? Whatever.
it's
That is.
your 4 lings were perfect. Like just when your pool's done, 2 queens and 4 lings, that's great. I love it. It denies scouts all over the place, and it also keeps you safe from the first adept if he just runs it across the map. And then you do not make lings again until you're at 2.5 mineral line saturation.
Gotcha. Okay.
And also, as soon as you fully saturate 2 bases, resaturate your gas in your main. So add 2 drones of that as well.
Okay. I'll do that, and I'll take first Protoss. I'll take 2 more gases. Is that too much?
Wait, what are you taking 2 more gases?
At 2 base saturation.
No.
Plus refilling the main.
That's, if you're going to go for lings like this.
For roach based kind of stuff.
Okay, so you want to open speedling into roaches.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to go for the, okay, so here's, it'll be a little bit different for you then. Like I don't mind that you go roaches.
What should I open? I mean,
Like so
I'm
like
doing that
I don't know if are you saying you want to go to 3 gases at 2 base saturation? Like you're gonna add on 2 more gases?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's way too much. Like it's fucking a shitload. So this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. Just do this build and it'll be great.
Okay.
You get your speedling opener like you did. You make your lings and queens like you did. That's all of it's fine so far. You take 2 drones off gas at 100 and you get speed, and then you do not put any drones back on gas until you are at 16 on the main, 16 on the natural, 8 on the third. Okay?
Okay.
Just make it easy. And then as soon as you do that, refill up your main base of your gas, and you can then add on a second gas, and you can add on a roach warren then, and also fill up the second gas. And then what I want you to do though is when you have that saturation where it's 3 on the gas in your main, 16, 16, 8 on the mineral lines for your main natural third, I want you to first make Zerglings, and then after you make your Zerglings, which is like you'll be up to like 24 lings, then you can go gas number 2, roach warren, 3 extra drones on that gas.
Okay.
Because if you fully saturate 16, 16, 8, retake the main gas, take a roach warren, make 3 drones on the gas, and your opponent does an adept timing, you are going to get fucked. Like you're going to take some damage, because you're cutting it really close already with the 16, 16, 8 thing to defend a timing like that.
Okay.
So yeah, does that make sense for all of it? So,
definitely, yeah.
Okay. And then once you go into you have your roach one started and you have your lings, then it's kind of a judgment call to go, okay, am I getting all in? Do I need to stop making drones altogether? And do I need to make roaches now defensively and just roach ling? Or is this guy going for a macro build, and am I delaying that and doing a good job of that? And now I can go for a fully saturated third entirely, and then add in the rest of my gases, and go into whatever you want to go into after that.
Okay.
So you have to, like, your scouts should tell you that with your Zerglings.
Yeah.
And a timer you should look for, just to make this really obvious. If your opponent does not have a third base even attempted by like 5 minutes and 10 seconds or 5 minutes and 20 seconds, we'll just say 5:20. If you look at the clock and you are at 5:20 or beyond 5:20 and he hasn't even attempted to take a third base, what I would recommend you do as a response to that is I would say start 2 more gases. So you go up to 4 gases entirely now. Do not make more drones for this. just rip off some mineral line drones and put them on gases, and then just make a Roach Ravager. Roach Ravager, and then if you have any extra larva, you can make Zergling. And get ready to defend it all in.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
And then if he is
Soul
taking a
Train.
third, yeah, exactly, right. It's gonna be something aggressive like that, or like mass zealots or mass adepts. But if he is trying to take a third base before that timing, you can make your lings like you did, and then you could even make, let's say, like 4 or 5 roaches defensively once your roach warren's done, just in case he does any type of like a warp prism counterattack or something like that. And then you can just fully saturate your 3 bases, all of it, and then even like start a 4th. Don't saturate it, but start a 4th.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Because yeah, like right now in this game, I'm already kind of watching you. You're teching fast. You're taking your gas again early. You made too many lings. You're taking another gas early, and you're making the roach horn. It's just putting you in a situation where, if you look at the income tab, you were at 31. He's at 34. He's at 36. You're at 31. It just went up again, and he even has 2 more probes in production again, and you still have no drones. You're taking too many costs at this stage, and you're falling behind because of it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because yeah, like right now would be, I would say like right now, right around this timer, like 4:40, this should be that timer when you would actually have like 24 lings. You would also have your drones 16, 16, 8, like we talked about. You would not have a layer yet. You would have a roach warren that would be probably starting right about now. You'd have your second gas starting. You also, that's the other thing too, just to throw it out there. You should start your roach warren at the same time you start your layer. You should not start your layer.
I've been starting my layer my second 100 gas.
Yeah, no, that's correct, right? That is true, but I don't think you should start it like right away, like right the second you have 100 gas. If you play like this, because if you're going for a third, you're going for a macro build. So going for a fast layer and going for a fast third do not go hand in hand. It's like 2 separate builds that branch off different ways. One is like a timing build and one is a macro build. And if you do both at the same time, you're not going to have the best of either of them. You're going to have like worse versions of both of them.
Okay, makes sense. So his third over here though with the void, is there denying that?
If you had lings, you could 100% kill that.
With a warp in? Oh yeah. Oh, I guess he only has. He doesn't have warp gate yet, but.
Yeah, like if you had 24 lings out there, you could at the very least kill that nexus, or you could possibly even run into his base because you can see there's a gap there in the middle. Like if you would have spotted that, like let's just say you did, you could run in and kill probes. Like you could do a lot of things with these lings.
Okay.
And also the fact that he's making voids is a big sign that he might be going Skytoss, and he is going Skytoss now that we can see because there's a fleet beacon. But if you ever see someone go voids, yeah, that's like I would highly recommend having a spire in your back pocket. Like probably just make a spire when you get the layer.
Yeah.
But yeah, like look at the drone count still. We're at 5 minutes and 40 seconds, and we still have a 5 drone deficit for you, which is it's kind of painful because you like right around this time, you should be at that point where you're at like 60 drones already, honestly.
Okay. Gotcha.
And it 100% would happen if you didn't accrue all these other costs early game.
What about Evo chambers?
Evo chambers should start once you're already at layer.
Oh, okay.
So your Evo, the timing you took your Evo chambers now is slightly early, but it's not the worst. It's like if you're gonna go for like an all-in based build or a really heavy timing attack, you should take it at hash retech. It's the only time you should ever do it. Like if you're gonna ZvZ and you go for like a +1 carapace zergling timing, then that's fine. But if you're gonna go for a macro style where it's like 3 base full saturation, do not ever take them until you're basically fully saturated, because all it does is it forces you to mine gas before you're ready for it, and it slows your economy down. And if you're not going for a timing anyways, it doesn't make any sense.
So I know I'm supposed to go missile attack and melee, but if they don't have storm, is Carapace okay to?
I would say in this particular game, the fact that you're going to go for Hydras against carriers, what looks like carrier build, Carapace is okay, but I think that Hydras are awful against carriers. I I think you'd be much better off if you committed to like Aspire here. Because I don't think you even know he's going Skytoss yet.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, you're kind of just doing your thing right now. You're preparing for like a standard game as far as you know, and you'll figure it out soon. But if you ever realize, okay, he's going Skytoss, and you catch on somewhat early to it, by all means, if you go Spire, Corruptor, Carapace, it is 10 times better than going Hydras.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But I would honestly say I don't ever recommend going Carapace against Protoss until like late, super late game.
3-3. Yeah.
And the only reason why is because late, like super supreme late game, you might actually have battles of Zealots versus Zerglings, where you have like 3-3 Cracklings fighting charge lots that are 3-3. And then that would actually, like Carapace then could be useful because you actually take 3 hits to die with the Zergling instead of 2, and it makes you trade your mineral trades better when you're trying to do like counterattack base hits for each other. Other than that, Carapace is never useful because it's so easy for Protoss to transition into something that can fuck you over. Like the things I talked about before is, it doesn't really change how effective an Adept is. It doesn't really change how effective a Immortal is. It doesn't really change how effective a Archon is. It doesn't really change how effective a like spells are, like Storm or Disruptor. Like your units are gonna die in the same amount of hits for the units that counter you. Like for instance, if you're going Roaches and he goes Immortals, you could have level 3 Carapace and it wouldn't change a thing. If you're going Zerglings and he goes Archons, you could have level 2 Carapace. It doesn't change a thing. Like the units that he makes that are going to counter what you make, Carapace doesn't do shit for you.
Yeah.
Because there are breakpoints for these units that counter Zerg units that do not take more hits to kill you if you have Carapace. It would make your units more effective against like carrier attacks. For like I said earlier, like Hydra versus carrier, it would actually make Hydra better. But if you go Hydra against carrier and he also goes for Storm, you're just gonna get fucking obliterated.
Screwed. Yep. Okay.
Up to this point, any other questions so far?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the biggest problem so far for you 100% is your build up to this point. Like you're just behind where you should be.
Okay.
Because right now, at 7 minutes, you should already be fully saturated, and this should be your power phase. Like you should be cranking out supply, and you should be able to get to a supply, a region or like an area of supply where you have like 50-ish supply above your opponent by the time you get closer to maxing out. And right now, you guys are like tied still.
Yeah. Okay.
So right now, I'd say you should be having like a 30 supply lead, like at this stage right now, and it should be increasing continuously all the way to 200.
So like if I'm going for this late game stuff, I'll go up to like 88, 90 drones.
That's great. Love that.
That's good.
That's super good. I think the only problem I have with it is I think you could be doing it faster. But I love that you're getting that amount though.
Yeah.
And then also another tip, this is something like if you're not going to get Overlord speed, I'm totally down with that. But make this a something you'll always do because it'll help you a lot at not playing blind. Because what you are doing right now for the last like 2 minutes is playing blind. Make an Overseer when you get layer.
Oh yeah, he killed that Overlord. That was, yeah, that's what he was doing. He takes his voids and he goes around and kills the Overlords. So I would usually put them like outside of each of his possible thirds.
Yeah.
And then on the attack path in the middle of the map. But
sure.
If they do that, what uselings?
Well, like you can always make an Overseer. It doesn't have to necessarily just be an aggressive one. You can make up one in your base and fly it across the map. But it's just for the fact that I want you to have an idea what he's doing. I would love it if you had Lings at his thirds and you would have known exactly when he took it. Like you did have a Ling there earlier and you see the pylon from your vision and your Ling's dead. Or whatever, or maybe it was an Overlord, I can't remember. But either way, your thing died and it saw a pylon. But like a follow-up to make sure he's doing it. And you also like a Ling could poke in as well to like the front of his base. But if he's not really revealing much from the front of his base, which this game he would be, but let's just say he doesn't reveal a lot from the front of his base, just making an Overseer at layer just to get into his base and scout as much as you can is super useful. Always, every time.
Okay.
Because I do think you have a good idea of the fact that you took a fourth base and you saturated it without fully knowing what's happening. That's nice for you. But if you knew this guy was going Skytoss, I would even say you could take even more than this. Like, you could take another base and you could saturate it all the way to like 90 drones, 95 drones. Seriously. If you ever play against somebody who rushes Skytoss, getting to a point where you have like 90 plus drones is fucking amazing. Because the goal for you should be to trade with him repeatedly off of a better economy. And what will happen is his supply will always stay the same and yours will keep increasing as you trade. And so, like, you might have the first fight happen when you're, like, 150 supply versus his, like, 120. And then suddenly you're at 160, he's at 120. Then you're at 170, he's at 120. You're at 180, he's at 120. And then suddenly, like, once it gets to a certain point, he just cripples. Because you can replace so fast because you have such a good economy. He can't. Because you keep trading with him repeatedly. And you keep putting him on this, like, defensive position. That is the ideal way to break Skytoss.
I mean, I kind of have a clue, you know, because he hasn't done anything yet, and we're hitting the 9-minute mark. So
this could be a lot of things, though. He might just be somebody who wants to max out a 200 supply of like Archon Shards on Immortal and then do a timing.
Yeah. Okay.
Or like Colossus or something. Scouting him for sure is definitely like just throwing a link out there maybe like once a minute until at least you know exactly what he's doing. Because guessing what he's doing is always... You're going to lose games because of that. Where you're like, he's probably doing this. Oh, shit, no, he's not. Like, he's doing something totally different.
So I found out that, like, Heavy Ravager versus Skytoss stuff, because it's so slow, it was working for me for a little bit. So I try it, and I fail here, but,
I'll say this would only ever work if you had Infestors with it. And that is so much harder. It is so much harder than just going Corruptors. And on top of that, against good Protosses, if they realize what you're doing and they pre-spread their army, you already automatically lose. This only works versus someone who's clumped up and then he's like, oh shit, Ravagers and Infestors, and then you just somehow like wipe out an army. And, like, it's like a surprise thing. But yeah, if he like this is something I wouldn't recommend learning how to play. Like, stop doing this shit as soon as possible. Because this will make you never get to where you want to be in terms of like your MMR. Like, it'll just feel way harder than it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you can see that this guy he doesn't have any unit control groups, so he is F2ing everything, which means everything clumps the entire time. So that's the only reason why this would potentially work against somebody like this. Looks like it's working, yeah. And he also doesn't move when you cast Corrosive Bile. But yeah, at this stage, you're super committed to it. You do have a Spire. You don't have any upgrades started yet. That is actually the most important thing as well about Skytoss, about how you actually can break Skytoss. If you ever see, okay, Protoss is one upgrade ahead of me in terms of he has a weapon upgrade and I don't have this armor upgrade. If he's 1+ over you, you can still take that fight, but it is not going to be a super good fight for you. You're going to lose more than you should. You should always think that. However, if he has 2 weapon upgrades over you, you should avoid that fight at all costs, unless otherwise you're going to lose the game.
You mean compared to air upgrades?
Yeah, like I'm talking about the comparison of weapon upgrades for Protoss Air versus Carapace upgrades for Zerg Air.
Gotcha. Okay.
If your Corruptors have if you're tied, you're even. Always take that fight as much as you can. You'll fuck him up so bad. If you are down by 1, so if he's at level 2 weapons, you have level 1 Carapace, you can, like, again, you can still take that fight, but it's not going to be a great fight. But if you have an overwhelming amount, you should still be able to take a good trade. Yeah, if you have like equal supply, you're going to probably lose more than he will. But as long as you have a good economy, it's still okay to take fights like that. So that's like the trade-off, right? Where you're like, okay, I might lose 5,000 resources, He might only lose 4,000 here, but if I'm mining an extra 2,000 resources than he is every minute, it's still worth it because I'm on 5 bases and he's on 3 or something like that. Then it's fine.
Okay.
But again, if you're down by like 2 upgrades, or even if God forbid, if he's level 3 weapons and you're at 0 carapace, never take that fight ever. Like unless again he's like killing your bases and you're gonna die, then you have to take the fight, obviously. But try your best to like make him go into his base and make him turn around, make him chase you, but don't actually fight him, because if you do, you're fucked.
Okay.
Like Skytoss trades so good if it has superior upgrades by 2 or 3 upgrades.
I don't like the void rays with corruptors, because I know this guy. I play him all the time. If I have a heavier corruptor style, the void rays will just eat through them. If they're charged.
Yeah.
So it's like I have to bait the charge. So it's a lot of dancing, I guess, right?
One thing you can do as well is you could just, if you go mass corruptor and you do it early, like if let's just say you do your economy properly early, okay? The way we talked about how like you should be at a higher supply, etc., etc., etc. You could actually have a overwhelming amount of supply early, and all you got to do is focus fire his void rays, and it will never get maxed out. He'll never max. Okay. You'll always be like, okay, I have 18 corruptors fighting 4 void rays. That'll be what it's seriously like.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you just keep picking them off repeatedly, and keep resetting him again and again and again. Now, if for whatever reason that doesn't happen, and you're like, okay, he actually got to a high supply, what you can do then is you can just make spellcasters. You can make like the easier one, I would say, if it's mass air. If you don't want to use both spellcasters, I would actually recommend Viper. If it's like mass voids and mass carriers and a mothership or something, because then you could just throw out 1 parasitic bomb into his army, and then throw another one in there, and then throw another one.
You'll parasitic bomb like carriers?
You'll parasitic bomb void rays. Parasitic bomb anything you can, but ideally you want to hit the voids. Because
I can't use both. Using both is just too hard. But
yeah, no, I don't recommend using both, like infestors and vipers right now. Even though if you did, you could wipe out that army so easy. But it is hard to do. It's kind of like going Ravager Infestor as well. It's like it's hard to execute. But if you just went Corruptor Viper, you could actually, and you're like, okay, he's got mass voids, throw in a parasitic bomb, and then what is he gonna do? Is he gonna stay clumped up? If he does, just run away from him and throw another one into him as you're running away, and you're like kiting him. Or if he runs away from you in a clump, chase him and throw another one into him. Corruptors are fast, and you don't have to take the fight against his voids and his carriers. Even if you get poked a little bit, it's okay, because Parasitic Bomb is fucking him up real bad if he doesn't split his army. However, if you throw in a Parasitic Bomb and he splits his army up, that is a perfect opportunity for you while he's in the middle of trying to micro his army to be like, oh, fucking spread! Bombs are everywhere! Just focus fire like 1, 2, 3 units, and then run away.
Yeah. Okay.
And then go fill your Vipers up again and do it again.
So I'm never like A-moving, basically.
No. Especially against carriers, because if you A-move against carriers, your shit will get caught up killing interceptors while all the voids kill your shit.
That's why I try to go Hydras, but it doesn't really work all the time. But
yeah, like the thing about Skytoss is A-move is never an option. I'll just say that right now.
Okay.
Like, you should never think A-move is an option, because it's not. Like, but if you're like at a lower level, like Diamond is not what I'm referring to here. If you're like someone listening who's like gold or silver, yeah, you can A-move with Hydras and you should be able to beat Skytoss. But as soon as you get to like Diamond Plus, you should stop having that mentality, and you should start focusing a bit more on being able to execute the more effective styles a bit better. Like, like Corruptor, and you just focus fire Void Ray, move away. Focus fire Void Ray, you can move away.
Okay.
But yeah, like, and then this, the next thing, the next step that goes with this that makes this actually super effective is you just, like, let's say, leave a Zergling at future nearby expansions so that you never let him have another base. And if you see he's trying to, like, you know, let's say he moves his whole army to his 4th base, and you're like, okay, he's going to try and take this 4th base now, he wants to defend it. That gives you the option to then have 2 choices to go, okay, do I want to take a fight with his army now? Do I think that's going to be a good idea? Because I'm actually crushing him right now, and I can keep fighting his army. Or, because he's over there trying to set up a 4th base, How about I just go to his natural or something on the other side and just wipe out a Nexus or run into his base and kill probes, something like that.
Okay.
Like, it gives you the options to either fight him or kill, or like you should always be either choosing to fight his army or fight his economy. And I would say fighting his economy is the better choice if he's being too greedy, but you also think he's got a strong army that you might not beat. But if you're crushing his army repeatedly, killing his army is fine, because if you kill his army entirely, then you kill his economy anyways.
Yeah. Yes. Get all new stuff again. So okay, makes sense.
But yeah, this game, I'll kind of speed it through it now to the end, because this style is, I would never recommend doing this style. It's so fucking hard.
Yeah. And then the charge lots, you just, I think at some point I just aim move like I'm dead.
Yeah.
Like there.
Yeah, well, the problem there was you were kiting with fungals, but you didn't cast a single corrosive bile the entire time. And that's and I agree. It's hard to do. It's like you have to micro two separate casters essentially at the same time, and it's more, you're rotating different move speeds of units and different you should have different control groups of units as well for this to make it flow the best. Otherwise, you're always tabbing every time to do everything, which is not. It's kind of shitty. But yeah, like that is the exact reason why I would say don't do this style. It's because it wasn't even executed properly, because it's way more difficult than going corruptors.
So like a corruptor, broodlord, infestor, neural, and then
I think
Terrans.
That is if you fail. Like if you fail at doing it properly. You don't even need to get to that stage. You just need, literally, you could actually win the game most of the time just going corruptors and zerglings. Seriously. Corruptor, zergling, and that's it.
Even with the Archon Storm and...
Yep.
Right.
And the reason why is because you won't get to that stage if you do it properly. It's preventative. It's like a Zerg preventative Skytoss style. And the way it works is you scout it relatively early with Zergling scouts and Overseer scout. If you actually scouted with a Zergling way earlier, you would have saw that fleet beacon and the fact that he also had voids really fast. And you could have been like, all right, let's make a Spire. And let's go Carapace on Corruptors. Let's go melee upgrades on Zerglings. And let's just make sure I have a good economy. And we'll just keep throwing Corruptors and Lings, Corruptors and Lings, Corruptors and Lings. And you can do shit. Like, here's an example, okay, of how you would fuck him so bad. Lings attack his third base. This is like, hypothetically way earlier. Lings attack his third. He's got 2 voids, a carrier, like 5 adepts, and that base. You have 40 Lings outside of his third base, and you have like 16 Corruptors, which is very realistic if you would have saw this was happening really early. You could attack his third base with your Lings. Don't throw them all away. Just attack it so that his whole army comes over to defend his third base. And then you kind of back up a little bit, and he chases you a little bit out of his third base forward to be like, fuck you, Lings, get away. And then at the same exact time, you fly from the north side into his natural, and you piss all over his nexus with your Corruptors. And then you like hold shift and you move them away. That's a perfect example of how you could do something super simple and abuse the shit out of Protoss and put the Protoss in a negative, like, behind position.
Dual prong stuff.
Yeah, like it's, and then doing things like this puts the Protoss behind, and it further accelerates your lead. And then once you don't always have to set it up that way the first time. Sometimes it's like, okay, well, he's got an exposed Skytoss army right over here without much shield batteries or cannons. I'm just gonna focus fire his carriers, and then his carriers die to your Corruptors. He's only got like 66 probes, whereas you have like 90 drones. So you can replace the Corruptors that died way faster than he can replace the carriers that died.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay.
Just breaking down, like, I think what you should just focus on for now against people who play specifically like this is focus on scouting it early to know what's happening, and then get better at dealing with it with just Corruptorling.
Okay.
Because you can seriously beat most Protosses who play like this. I can still beat Protosses in GM who play like this with Corruptorling. It's so fucking good.
Okay. All right. Sweet.
And here's actually one more thing, but to give you a visual, if you download my replay pack, that I think it was last month's replay pack, so it would be.
I think I have it.
Yeah. Okay. Like, look at the replay. If you haven't seen it, look at the replay between me versus Pili Pili, where I say like Pili Pili goes Skytoss or some shit. It's like Zerg versus Skytoss going Corruptorling. That game is a Protoss player who is 6K plus, and I went Corruptorling and I won that game. Like it's
Oh, sweet.
so fucking viable if you, and that will be a good example as to how to read it and do it.
Okay.
It could give you some ideas, I guess. Alright, we'll speed it up again. So now, like, you're casting Crucible after the infestors are already dead.
Yeah,
which
I'm
is,
dead now.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to the other one?
Yeah, we can go to the next one.
Ah, cool.
But while you set it up, just to kind of recap, the biggest problem of all that game though was your build order. Your setup made everything slower, and the slower your setup is, the more you give your opponent time to set up his shit, and the harder the game will feel when it shouldn't feel like that.
Okay.
Yo, NJ McChillin, thank you very much for continuing the gifted sub, my dude. Welcome back, man. Welcome back. Oh, shit. Oh.
Should I do the gasless one?
I would say not this time. Because it's gonna be, it's just like a totally different play style. So, and I don't think you have to go gasless. You can 100% play with a gas opener, and it works just fine.
I mean, do you prefer going gasless?
I prefer it, but I'm also the thing about going gasless is I'll say this. If you go for a gas opener, you can play the same way every time and have minimal scouting, and then you might make minor deviations to your build, but the opener is always the same. If you go gasless, your opener changes every single time based on what the Protoss does, so it's way more confusing.
Okay.
So I think for learning purposes, if you wanted to master gasless, you totally could try. I think everyone could do it. It just takes time. But it is way more complicated than just learning a speedling opener.
Okay.
And then every time being like, all right, does he have a third? Deny the third. Does he all-inning me? Do that 4 gas road Ravager thing. Like, that's literally like your deviations in a gas opener, and it would make you win most of your games.
Okay.
But gasless, like, let me explain. Like, let me just give you an example. If I go gasless, and let's say I scout Twilight Council, I take my double gas at 250 because it defends charge lots, adepts, and DTs. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Specials in my chat saying I'm ignoring him. Sorry, it's distracting me.
Sorry?
I'm doing a coaching lesson 1. Thank you for the donation. I'll watch your video later, but I'm focusing on the coaching lesson for now. Just for now. But yeah, like 250 would be like a Twilight Council based builds, and I would take, or that, if I saw that, I would be like, okay, 250 gas to defend that, and I would take my Roach one a little bit earlier because of that, maybe like 330. And let's say I scout like a Robo, I would take a double gas at 3 minutes, because that would be, if it is going to be Twilight Council, it's now going to be delayed if it is going to be DTs, and also if it was going to be like a Sentry all in, or like a really quick gateway timing. 3 minute gases defends these timings really well, and it would still once again take a Roach one around 330. And let's say I scouted a Stargate, and I saw that's just what I saw. I would take gases at 340 now instead of the other timers, and I would take my Roach horn around 4 minutes, and then I would make spores as well to defend it, depending on if he makes an Oracle first or a Phoenix first. And then if I don't scout anything, I would be scouting for pylon placement. And if he doesn't have 2 pylons in his base, I would 100% be scouting for a proxy pylon.
Yeah, the second pylon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if he does have 2 pylons in his base, but he still doesn't have anything, I would still scout for proxies because it could be a 3rd pylon. But yeah, I would be scouting for proxies. Like, gasless just has all these deviations that could happen, and you also need to know how to read exactly how his first building is built, because sometimes you could actually do something like, oh, he has a Robo. I scouted a Robo, but what the fuck? He built a Robo after he built the Twilight Council, and that's just I just happened to see the Robo, and it could confuse you. So you have to know also the build timer of when it should be in the timer of the build. Like, it should be further along if he went for it first. So it is more confusing to go gasless for a lot of people, to be like, okay, fuck, there's so many factors here. And if you go gas speedlings, it's just like kind of like do the thing where I'm like 16, 16, 8, make your lings, good to go.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, I'm gonna speed it up again a little bit. So this game, I don't know.
This game. This is more of the kind of the same stuff. He gives more early aggression though.
Okay.
Um, a lot more.
All right. One thing, if I could make one alteration to your build too, just to make it a little bit, just like a smidge more efficient, I would say I would love it if you take the pool before you take the gas. And the only reason why I say this is because their only benefit you're getting here is if you are getting like proxy all in or something like that. So you're gonna have an even faster speed to deal with something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really think about how many times you play a Protoss and they go for proxy builds against you, like we're not talking about like cannons, but I'm talking more about like proxy gates.
Yeah.
Like how many times is like this speed kicking in super quick for you where it's like really important, where a bunch of zealots are in your base, and how many times is that not happening compared to when they're like playing standard?
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, exactly. I would say it's like probably like 95% to 5% or something. Like it's way more in the macro department. So if you actually went for a pool first and you maintained 16 drones on your mineral line, it would be a little bit better because you're no matter what, with whether you do pool first or you do a gas first, you are still going to have speed well before that, way before you're going to be doing your anti-third Zergling timing against the Protoss. And the only thing that would be making a difference against would be if one adept ran to your base really fast, and you might have speed a little bit quicker if he doesn't ever leave, compared to if you went for a pool or gas. The pool first might be a little bit later on the gas for that first adept, but you can zone out the first adept anyways with your queen, like no problem, and you're like just chase the adept like we talked about earlier, and you're good to go. Because the more you maximize your minerals, the faster you get your third, the faster you get your drones, the faster all your shit happens. With things like this, the faster you can actually do that 3-base link timing. Because again, it's not that big of a deal if it's just this one drone. Because you were at 15 out of 16 for like 20 seconds right there to saturate your gas properly.
Yep.
But yeah, that's just something I would recommend. I would say try to maintain 16 out of 16 on the mineral line if you're not going for a really aggressive speed link timing. If you're going to be defensive with it until like, because again, the speed link doesn't matter if you're doing the 3-base timing because it's way after the fact that you have speed.
Yeah. What do you think about Korean? Do you ever do a Korean opener for Skytoss?
Do I
like taking a third and 20?
Yeah, like you can. The thing about like if you're talking about copying like Korean Zergs against Protoss though, it's it's not bad. It's definitely not bad, but I think a lot of things and a lot of reasons why Koreans do certain things in their builds is because the or like their opponents they're playing against force them to do these things. Otherwise, they get punished really hard. If that makes sense. So like for instance, that's like the exact like the whole like thing like this is like a perfect example with the gas first. If you go for like a gas really early, like a gas then pool. And the Protoss goes for double chrono boosted adepts out of his first gateway, and he comes across the map, and he's gonna fuck you up. If you have like stats microing those adepts, yeah, you better hope to God you have speed on those lings because you're going to take some drone losses. It's not worth it otherwise. But you're like the average Protoss you're gonna be playing against, and this does not ever end. If you're playing the North American ladder, you are never going to run into stats or someone like it's like you're not like the times you're gonna play like Neeb or like a Protoss who's going to fucking annihilate you. For not having that really quick speed is so rare. Like the average Protoss you're going to play against is someone that's going to... He's not going to be bad, but he's not going to be someone who punishes you for very minor things like that. So catering your build to be efficient on the ladder you're playing on is what I'm saying mostly your goal should be. And something as simple as maximizing your minerals for the first part of the game is definitely going to be worthwhile for you because I don't think you're ever going to get punished for that.
Okay. Cool.
Yo, Sheth, what's up, man? Love you, dude. I'm doing a coaching lesson, but I love you, man. Alright, so you have 4 lings denying the pylon. This is perfect. Good shit. Taking your 3rd base. You got the speed going. Good stuff. You got queens going. Good stuff again. But now, again, like, we're going to watch your production. If you make lings again right now, or really soon, this is, once again, a mistake. So you have drones. This is good so far. Go drone again. Good. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the lings are coming. Drone. Oh baby.
So I play both of these people, you know, often, so I
Okay.
kind of know.
Uh, okay. Actually, I have something I want to talk about.
Yeah.
We're gonna back it up a little bit. Keep in mind, if you don't go for Overlord speed, you should not sit at the natural. So like right now when you're
To
chilling
look
here,
for cannons.
no. Sorry, his natural. I'm talking about your first Overlord.
Okay, okay.
My bad. I made that sound confusing. But yeah, your first Overlord should actually fly into his base. And even if it dies,
Okay.
it's okay. And the reason why is because if it dies, that reinforces the feeling that you're not going to have to defend against an Adept, because now you know he made a Stalker.
The stalker, yeah.
So now you can just
Okay.
drone. Like now you 100% can drone your ass off, and you can replace the cost of that Overlord super easy.
Do I sack my second overlord too?
Uh,
I send my second one over
not right
first.
away. If your first Overlord dies without knowing anything, you don't need to sack the second one immediately. I would say the better thing to do would be maybe run a Ling across the map and check the front of his base, because it's
Okay.
so early, and like he's gonna show you. You should see something. A Protoss can't hide a build against you that early, and just make you be like, wait, what the fuck is happening? Is if you have Lings also at the front of his base.
Mhm.
But like your first Overlord, also the other thing too is your first Overlord will not get killed before he gets into his base. That is impossible, because
Yeah.
the timing of building a gateway and then a core and then a stalker, even if he chrono boosts the stalker out, you will still get to his main nexus before the Overlord is dead. So you'll still see a good chunk of his base to get a good read as to like, is he expanding? Where is he putting his wall at? What is he what is he doing with his probes? What is he how is he chrono boosting? Is he saving it? Is he spinning it? Things like that.
Mhm. Okay. Okay.
But yeah, your first Overlord chilling here, just kind of sitting here, is definitely kind of fucking you over in terms of being able to read what he's doing.
Yeah.
All right, so you see there was a Phoenix that killed your Overlords. You made spores as a reaction to this. I like it. Units-wise, you have not made a lot of Lings. I like that a lot. But gas-wise, with the build you're doing the same thing again, where you're rushing your layer
Yep.
super hard, and you're
Yeah.
and you're not doing like a 2-base opener. You're doing a really greedy 3rd base.
Mhm.
It's just like if you want to go for a speedling, like if you were doing a gasless opener, okay, and you were going Roaches, I would not be opposed to this, the double gas at this time. But just because of the fact that you're going for speedlings, I really want to see saturation on that 3rd base before you take your other gases.
Okay.
Like we talked about earlier. Like again, I could repeat myself, but the build we talked about from the first game is 100% the build I want you to be doing if you're going to go for
Okay.
speedling openers.
Okay.
Because your drone count, if we're looking at the drone count again right now, it's actually not the worst because you didn't make extra Lings this time. But we're approaching the 5-minute realm now, and we're still not anywhere near where I would like you to be.
Yeah. Okay. And this annoying stasis word crap. Um, he'll start like dual pronging it, and it's like, do I put up 4 spores in each base?
So the way you can deal with someone who does this, like obviously this kind of sucks for you because you didn't have a spore because your 3rd was not set up like the other ones were,
Yeah.
and the reason why that happened is because you didn't have any drones at it, so you didn't build a spore
Yeah.
there. But until it was too late. But if you have a guy who has the 1 Phoenix into Oracle opener, if he only has 1 Phoenix, it's actually not the worst idea to put an Overlord on the edge of your base. I'm not saying put it way out in the fucking middle of nowhere, but you could put it like on the edge of like your cliff where your gases are. Like put it further towards the cliff on the edge of the cliff. And what that'll do is it'll give you like 3 seconds of time to react to that before he actually does whatever he's going to do. And that also keeps the Overlord in a placement where it's not going to die to Phoenix. So you're not going to just like, it's not going to be way the fuck out there and you're like, oh, it's dead. 3 screen links way out there. Like you can like if the Phoenix just by itself comes over to kill that Overlord, you could walk your queen over there and smack the Phoenix and it won't die. And the Phoenix will run away. But it's nice because it gives you a reaction to it where it's not just the gases themselves giving you the vision of it. So your Overlord that's kind of above your natural right now, it's not the worst, but you could pull it back a little bit. It could still give you good vision and it would still be safe in this kind of a situation. However, your 3rd base, that is definitely not good. Like your 3rd base has no reaction to this. You won't know if he's there until he's there, essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, putting overlords like that would be
Okay.
great. Secondly, if you have speed, which you do, and you have a few lings, all you got to do is if you see him coming from a direction, run your lings at that direction. So you're looking at the minimap and you go, oh, okay, an oracle's coming here. Lings, go kill that shit. How if he comes from 2 bases though, what you can do then is you can just pull your drones. If it's like you have nothing nearby that's going to be able to kill it, pull your drones away from it, and then just like grab one drone and send it at it, and let it go off, and then go back to mining again. Because you can't do this repeatedly nonstop. He can only do this once every like 40 seconds per oracle that he has. And also,
Okay.
the other thing too is if you send lings at it, even if it's only 4 lings can kill a stasis trap before it actually builds the stasis trap, guaranteed.
Okay.
A stasis trap only has like 40 hit points or something like that. It's really weak, and it takes like 5 seconds to build it. So lings could just like smack, smack, smack. It's dead. It's super. It's like killing a probe essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, having the overlord thing, like I said, on the cliff, that's gonna help you so much because it gives you vision to actually see it happening.
Evolution complete.
Also, Togangs, thank you very much for the 6-month sub. Much love, dude. I appreciate it. And Juan, sorry I didn't notice the $10. I appreciate you, man. I love you. Juan, I fucking love you. In response, thank you for the raid. Thank you guys. Doing a coaching session. But much love. Also, I'm trying to mute my mic, but I forgot we're on Facebook, so you can hear everything I'm saying.
It's all good.
But yeah, I'm trying to just keep up on that shit too.
It's all good. So this triple oracle though, that's more than 1 spore, yeah?
No, seriously, 1 spore
No?
only.
Oh.
Yeah, you're good to go. So like, right, I'm gonna back it up. I want to make sure I see how much HP that thing has. The stasis trap. I think it's 2020. It's 3030. I knew 1 corrosive bile could kill it, and I was pretty sure it was 2020. But yeah, it's 3030, so it has 60. It's still super easy to kill. Look how much it starts off with. It's 1 second into its build time, and it only has 14 hit points in total.
Yeah.
So like if you had lings just go over there and smack it, they could easily kill it. Like even if this roach at your 3rd base right now, if it would have gone over and smacked it, it would be dead. And if it dies before it goes, but if it dies before it finishes, it doesn't actually go off. It's not like a Baneling or something. So.
Okay.
Perfect. You pulled your drones away and then immediately go back and mine again. Because the stasis traps will go off on stasis traps. It doesn't reset the timer on the units that have already been hit by it.
Oh, it'll go back. It'll go off on the units that are already stasis.
Yeah. If he has something stasis, exactly, it'll still go off. It'll still set it off, but it doesn't reset the timer. So you can still see that those units already have 8 seconds into their stasis that's already gone off, whereas the larva and the drone nearby are in brand new fresh stasis.
Yep.
So the perfect reaction, if he does shit like that, if you know you're not gonna be able to kill it, just run away, run right back, as soon as it goes off.
Okay.
So like these drones on the gas are being on the gas way too long. Well, okay. You did fix it. It wasn't that long. It was only like 2 seconds. But yeah, you should be like expecting it to go off. You know it's gonna happen. You immediately go back right after it's done. So it's like muscle memory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, and then yeah, your saturation is good, but I think it's 1 minute too late. It's just it's delayed is all. And these spores, I think 1 spore per mineral line is fine, and the only reason why you need it is because you have the idea that you're making spores to deny stasis traps, and you should not have that idea. You should have the idea that you have spores to deny if he dives your drones with his prismatic alignment auto attacks, or the pulsar beam, whatever the fuck it's called. So if he dives in, your spore kills them. But if he does not dive in and he goes for stasis, you need to rely on the fact that you should have awareness, and you can kill it if you have units nearby. Otherwise, pull your drones if you know you can't kill it, and then go right back to mining once it goes off.
Okay.
And a great way to deal with this as well is notice how you have 10 drones, or sorry, 10 roaches in your whole units tab, and you have 10 roaches sitting at the hatchery of your third base. If you split 5 roaches at your third and 5 roaches at your natural, and you just left them nearby where future stasis traps would be thrown down, you're already good to go. Like, you'll never be stasis again as long as they're sitting there. Which, it completely nullifies the oracles, and it does not make you have to have the expense of making spores all around the perimeter of your base.
Okay.
Because getting the optimal saturation is so fucking important, and you don't want to do things like make static D when you don't necessarily need it. Because this is definitely, it's like, those spores you made is definitely a convenience thing, and you can see he even actually, you see how he like rotated the oracle around to the top side now, and he was like, I'm gonna go into the middle line this way, but your queen just happened to be there. Well, your roaches would accomplish the same thing as the spores would on the bottom, where if he tries to go for a stasis on the bottom now, your roaches just happen to be there, and he's not going to be able to do shit.
Yeah, makes sense.
Swarm has enemy assault sequences.
And he went for another one of your natural right now, and your spore killed it, which is nice. Your main got stasis. So yeah, just like having your overlord spread around, like, you know, close by your base, always will definitely give you a lot of vision about shit like this. Yeah, I don't know. I can repeat it again, but you get the point. You get the point.
Newly birthed queen ready.
And then right now too, one of the things you should definitely be doing is you should be having like I like that you actually have an overlord scouting his I like that you have something scouting his fourth base. I would prefer it more to be a Zergling though. Because Overlord is just more expensive, and also a Zergling could potentially even kill the probe if the probe is not escorted. Overlord isn't going to be able to stop anything, and it's more expensive when it does die. But yeah, having like a Zergling to be like, does he have a third base? Does he have a fourth base? Does he have a fifth base? Because you are playing a little bit blind again. You have no idea if he has, like, he has a Stargate, he made Oracle Phoenix, but other than that, this guy could be doing anything in terms of Protoss to you. It's almost like you're assuming he's gonna have a third because he's not attacking you, and that's not always true.
Okay.
Confirming that shit is super important, because if you assume he has a third and he doesn't, and suddenly he does like this Colossus timing to you, and you've been making nothing but drones, like, you're going to die.
Mineral cluster expended.
It's these like the heavy Immortal Archon charge lot. And they attack, around 8-9 minutes. I should have picked one of those replays, and I'm on Roach Ravager or Roach Hydra or whatever.
You can beat it. The problem though with it, this is what the problem is we're looking at the clock right now, and it's 9 minutes. 9 minutes and 23 seconds, and you're going Roach Ravager. And look at your supply. It's 168. You should already be at 200. So, like, if we're going for like a layer-based composition where it's Roach Hydra, Roach Ravager, Roach entirely, Roach Ling, you could 100% max out at 9 minutes. You could max out even before 9 minutes. But I would say if you macro well in Diamond, you could max out right around 9 minutes, even if it's like 9:10, something like that. You should be able to max out right around then. Because I think, honestly, off of just max roaches, you could max out, honestly, at like 8:10. 8:10, 8:15. Like, you can max out insanely fucking fast if your build is optimized. But if you're maxed out way earlier like this, you should be looking for things to do aggressively instead of just sitting there. So if you were maxed, you would have already been attacking him, and like now it's instead of being like, okay, this Protoss is sitting back on Archon Immortal, whatever. Now I'm the one being aggressive, and he's actually going Archon Immortal because I'm attacking him and he's defending with that. And that's when you can be like, okay, well, you're going Archons, and we're trading here and there. I'm trading my Roaches or whatever, and you're losing Archons, Zealots. We're both losing units. We're both trading. I can have the choice now to go, do I want to keep going Roaches and keep attacking you, or do I want to transition into something more like Death Ball-y, like go Hive Tech, go Brood Lords, or something, and you could totally do that.
Okay.
But yeah, like my point is your biggest problem isn't your composition versus what he's on his composition. It's the fact it's the fact that you're allowing him to have such a high supply compared to what you have, because you're not efficiently getting there.
Okay.
Because we're gonna look at the first time you guys fight, and I bet you guys are gonna be within like 20 supply of each other, which is fucking scary for you. Yeah, like right now, you guys are actually within 9 supply. That's so fucking scary. Because Roach Ravager is definitely not something you want to max out on and then just sit on.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that's what happens. He basically storms me to death.
Yeah. And also, we can finish the game, dude. It's all good. No worries.
Okay.
Alright.
Charge lots are just a pain in the ass for me too.
Yeah. The thing about charge lots, the perfect way to fight charge lots is you want to kite them. You wanna bait the charge, and then you want to pull back and attack, and pull back and attack. And the reason why this is so good is because charge lots, especially when they're charge lots, they run like a rocket up their ass away from the entire army. So they just run away from all their ranged DPS. And if the Protoss does not realize that this is important, and they just keep letting their shit move towards you, you can bleed out all their charge lots with losing minimal units. And then you turn around and go back and attack the range units after the charge lots are bled out.
So the charge will end before hitting something, right?
The charge lot do what, sorry?
The charge will end before it hits an enemy
No,
unit.
no. The charge will end as soon as it hits something.
Oh, okay.
So like he will charge into your fucking unit, and then
Yeah.
he will now possibly be like 5, 6, 7 range away from his backline. And if you are realizing that how you should micro this is you pull him away from his backline and kill it and bleed it out and kill it and keep letting him run away from his backline. It's much better to do that than it is to just stand there and let his backline attack you while his front line is attacking you. And the even worse one is to go, oh look, I want to kill his immortals, and he's got 30 charge lots. And the charge lots are just in your face, just punching your ass, getting in your way. And you're like trying to get through that and go to the or the immortals in the back. Like that's by far the worst way to fight against it. But yeah, just like bleed it out so that like just kite it, kill it, kite it, kill it. That way when you want to go kill the backline, he doesn't have a front line to stop you from doing that.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's like right now, see how you stop? That's a mistake.
Mhm.
Like what you can do, like we'll watch this from the beginning, this last fight one more time. Like again, this is obviously going to be a skewed example because he's the one who's actually maxed out and you're actually down by 20 supply going Roach Ravager, which is fucking crazy. I'm not going to lie, this is crazy. But yeah, like...
I think my hive's pretty late. Yeah, it's not even done yet.
Yeah. Like watch your micro though. Like watch how many times you stop. So he'll come in. He's pushing forward. He backs up. You back up. That was fine so far. You stack out some biles in. But right now, you are stopping and attacking him, and you are letting him fully engage you with his backline and his front line simultaneously. And this is not what you want to be doing. You want, like, as soon as you see him in the area, you can poke a shot at him, but as soon as he gets even remotely in range of being able to cast force fields on you, to cast storm on you, to even auto attack you with immortals or anything like that, you do not want to be standing there. You want to be running away already.
Oh, okay.
So like right now, you've started standing there at 11:46, and you have now had a storm cast on you. So you've been here for like 1 second, and let's see how long. Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Let's see how long it takes for you to back up. You start moving back at 49. So you took 3 seconds of pounding.
Yeah, another storm. Yeah.
Exactly. Like in StarCraft 2, shit ends so fucking fast. Like it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like it's like two guys throwing grenades at each other. Either one can explode within seconds. Like things can die so fast in this game, so every second counts very hard. And just those 3 seconds alone, look at all your Ravagers. They're just like dead in the front of your in the front of your army.
Yeah.
Like you also look at the supply. You were at 180 3 seconds ago. Now you're at 167, and you're about to pop even more supply. So yeah, that was like 3 seconds there, and we'll watch it even further. And as you're running away too, what you can do is you can go like this. If you right click, like if you look at your army right now, let's just say you have it all selected. You could right click away from his army to the, like towards like those rocks or something, or just get the fuck away. And as you run away, you could move the mouse on the other side towards the Protoss, and you could go corrosive bile, like click, corrosive bile, click, like throw 3 of them out, and then you could immediately move the mouse back towards where the rocks are or over here, and you can right click one more time. And what would happen is is you would tell your army initially run away, and then you would cast a couple of corrosive biles, and then you would immediately tell those ravagers that you then told to cast corrosive bile to start running away again. And that's how you could kite. And then you could cycle this in with microing like that. You could then right click away from him, and while you're right clicking away from him, let's just use the rocks as an example again, okay? A move the ground next to the rocks for like literally half a second, and then move command. And what will happen is every single roach and every single ravager that has a hostile unit within range of it, which they all do right now, which is the zealots, they will all auto attack once. And if you only give it like half a second, that gives them time to cast the auto attack or use the auto attack, and then you immediately reissue a move command, so they start running away again right after they auto attack. And what this results in, if you do it correctly, is you just killed like 4 zealots, and now you're running away from them again. And you repeat you repeat processes like this. Like that's how you should be microing this kind of a situation.
What about using stop?
Never stop. Ever.
No,
Never.
okay.
Don't ever stop. Like it doesn't matter.
I mean like S. Like I'm right.
No, I know what you mean. Like you're saying like stop and then move.
Stop,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, like it could work as well. I'm not gonna say it can't work. It's pretty much the same fucking thing as A moving. But what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to get in the habit of like taking too fucking long. And the reason why it's nice is because like the reason why I think A move is it flows well is because you're click. It's not keyboard click. If you don't understand what I mean. It's like repetitive actions on your hands. It's easier to time it. I feel like it flows better if you time it like this. Because the last thing you want to do is like stop and then be like 1, okay, move. Or like, you know, like I just don't want you to like stand there for too long. It could work, but I want you to like get used to the pacing of how it should be done. And watching how it's going right now, like you're definitely stopping for you're actually keeping the army there for way too long and for what we're looking at.
Okay.
And like we can see right here. Okay, so you stopped again. We'll say 11:52. You stop. You just did a volley as well. And now we'll count how many seconds goes by before you move again. Okay, so you're moving at 55. So that's another 3 seconds where it's just like getting fucking pounded. Like it's brutal, dude. Too much stopping. Yo, Livy, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome, guys. I'm currently finishing up a coaching lesson, but welcome everybody. Happy to have you. Hope your stream was great. Hope it was glorious. And yeah, and then obviously, to be fair, I didn't expect you to win that fight because it was a 200 supply Protoss versus a 180U when your composition was weaker than his.
Yeah.
So it's understandable. And which again goes back to our more important problem, which is your build, right? Your build up of how to get there. All right, so we'll speed it up a little bit to get ready for the next thing. And you're going back into Roach Ravager once again, which is I definitely don't recommend it, obviously.
Yeah.
So at this stage, just to give you a bit of a quiz, really fast, what would, if you know, okay, I'm not gonna say it the way I was about to say it. It was stupid. I'll say it like this. What would you do? I was gonna get confusing right there really quick, but yeah. Anyways, what would you do right now at this stage of the game if you could go back and do it again differently?
Because you had a late 4th that keep that 4th from going up.
Okay. So like, also keep in mind, I'm saying like right now too. I'm not saying like before that fight just happened. Like right this second.
I'd have corruptors for the air. And Lings at the, what is it, 6th and 7th?
Okay.
I know, I mean, for all that ground, I'd go, like, Lurkers, but,
No.
Brood Lords.
Negative.
So.
There you go.
Yeah. But I mean, earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what I would say would be a great call to do would be, okay, this guy is going, he has a large ground army, but he is starting to transition into Skytoss. It'd be amazing if you started going to Carapace Corruptors to deal with Skytoss. It'd be so good. But then this ground army it's like not that big. It's mostly Zealots again, and it's a couple of Templar. It's really 9 Templar, but still it's a decent amount of Templar. I think with what you have right now, like you actually, I'm not even kidding, dude. You could still win the game right now with where you're at. Like this was terrible up to this point. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. This has been awful.
Yeah.
But you could still win. And how you should do that would be, I would say, you've made a bunch of Banes. You don't have Baneling speed. I would highly recommend getting that with what you currently have.
Oh yeah.
I would not. I would not ever tell you make more Banes after this point, but you could use with what you got right now. I would say wait, just kind of maybe like send off a bit of your army. Maybe send off like all your Ravagers, okay? And then have them all, like your Roaches and your Ravagers, and have them go attack the expansions of the Protoss. And what this will do is it will turn the Protoss around. You will probably lose that entire army, but you will also probably kill one, maybe even two expansions if you're lucky. Meanwhile, while he turns around, you could keep your Banelings and Hydras for what you have, which is like 12 Hydras. You can keep those defensive, just in case he attacks you, because I'm not going to lie. Banes
That's what I'm afraid.
Yeah, Banes and Hydras could kill his army right now. He has 2 carriers, 1 Phoenix, 1 Tempest. 12 Hydras could kill that. And as long as you keep your Hydras safe by having the Banes wipe out the Zealots and the Templar, or the majority of that composition, the Hydras will do their job just fine. The worst thing you could do is engage with it all at once and let the Hydras get stormed and then killed by charge, and then suddenly the carriers are still alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could defend if your Banes blow up his ground army and then your Hydras clean up the remainder. It could win totally right now. And what you should be remaking at this point would be Corruptors. You should stop going Hydras. You should stop going Roaches. You should stop going Baneling at this point. Corruptor, Zergling, and then possibly even Broodlord if you go into a Greater Spire would be great.
Yeah.
That's what you should do. And you should also, again, get out. I think the Ravagers are fucking you so bad.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
again, you obviously said you're probably not going to do it anymore. Like you're kind of going to deviate away from it.
Like, yeah, it's really. It works sometimes, but not enough to keep doing
it's
it.
It's definitely not worth it against this kind of these kinds of compositions. So getting rid of them in a cost efficient way, like killing his bases, would be the most optimal way to do that.
Yeah.
And then just going to like Corruptor, Broodlord, Zergling, and the great way to do that, just I'm gonna pause it one more time and just say the final thing here. A great way to go Corruptor, Broodlord, Zergling is your Zerglings do not stay in your army. They do not stay in the Corruptor, Broodlord army. They just counterattack expansions. Counterattack expansions. Counterattack expansions. Make a round of 30 supply, counterattack a base. Make another 30 supply, counterattack a base. That's all you do. Because what that does is it keeps the Protoss defensive. That's the first thing it does is it makes the Protoss defend shit, which gives you more breathing room to spread your creep, which gives you more vision to set up engagements. And the second thing it does is it possibly even kills expansions, which puts the Protoss into a harder position because he's starving. And he doesn't have as much money.
Can Lings attack this force right here?
Yeah, 100%. Dude, if you had Adrenal Glands,
batteries and cannons.
if you had Adrenal Glands and you had good melee upgrades, you could 100% wipe out that base.
Okay.
When you have 1 battery and 1 cannon, if you have no upgrade Lings at all, if you just have speed, yeah, the battery will keep that cannon alive until the battery is depleted, and then the cannon will then, if the Lings are still there, then the cannon will die. Otherwise, the Lings will be dead. However, if you have Adrenal Gland plus 3 Lings, a fully surrounded cannon will die faster, much faster, than a cannon can repair it or heal it.
Okay.
So you if you had, let's just say, 30 Lings walk over here to kill 2 batteries and 3 cannons, and these Lings were upgraded fully in terms of melee attack damage, with its attack speed and the melee upgrades, you would wipe out these 3 cannons before these batteries were depleted, and you would wipe out this base if he did not come back with his army and defend it. It would actually die so fucking easy. You'd probably, with 30 plus 3 melee Adrenal Lings, you would probably kill all 3 of these cannons and only take about 8 Zergling losses.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It would be fucking insane. Unless all your Lings, like, we're focusing on 1 cannon at a time, and then 1 cannon at a time, and then 1 cannon at a time, then maybe you'll lose like 12 Lings. But you'd still win. You would still kill them all.
Okay.
Okay, I'll back it up one more time. But yeah, it's just Storm Massacre. It's brutal.
Storm's a pain in the ass.
So like, here's a perfect example. He's got his army moving in. Now he has 5 carriers. Actually, he's got more. He's got 6 carriers coming in the back as well. You could actually just run your Banelings into him. If you just like green box some of your Banelings to go north, some of your Banelings go south. Don't spread them that far apart, but at least enough to like make the storms not as efficient, and then you just ran the banelings into him, that would actually be better to do it like that than to engage with everything at once. In this situation, like this army
Am I
sucks.
trying to hit the Templar?
Yeah, like you're trying to like move into his Templar, and the Zealots will die on the way. Like if your banelings die, the Zealots will die, but you move towards his Templar.
Okay.
But again, this army is fucking
You mean move command?
move
not,
command.
Not
I do mean move command.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would just trying to say like get the banelings into his army first before you actually engage with everything. It would just make sense in this type of engagement, because with what you have, the banelings don't matter at all. The only job the banelings have is to protect the Ravagers and the Hydras to kill the Skytoss. That's ideally what you're hoping for here. But if you engage with everything at once, you're allowing the ground army to weaken your actual army that's going to fight against Skytoss. If that makes sense. Like the Templar are going to
You can storm it all instead of
like
he tries to storm the banelings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the Zealots and the Templar and the Immortal are all going to die here. That's the goal. The goal for Protoss is those units are all going to die. And for you, the banelings are all going to die. That is also your goal. The real battle here is who's going to have more left over. Are your Hydras and your Ravagers and Hydras going to be able to overpower the Skytoss? Or is his Skytoss going to be able to overpower your Ravagers and Hydras? The other units are just a means to an end to see who has more after that.
Yeah.
So having your Ravagers and Hydras engaged before your banelings do their job is a mistake, because as you can see, you allow yourself completely to get stormed now.
Yeah.
And then it makes his Skytoss more valuable, because now his Skytoss, at the end of the day, like your banelings again, they're all going to die either way. His ground army is all going to die, but now what's happening is your Ravagers are getting caught up on the Zealots. They're getting caught up in storms, and his Skytoss is at the same exact time killing things that are going to be getting caught up in all of this shit. So it means that his Skytoss is basically not going to get touched at all, because he's going to thin out the things that can fight against Skytoss before he even has to. While you're dealing with shit that doesn't need to deal with. I'm sorry. I'm trying to explain this in a way that makes a lot of sense, but
it does.
Yeah, like it's the real job for the Ravager and Hydra is not to kill Zealots, but it's becoming that because you're fighting all at once, and you're not letting the banelings wipe out the shit before you go in.
Okay.
And see now, like you actually almost won this fight. Imagine if those banelings would have killed all of those fucking Zealots and a lot of the Templar, and then suddenly now you have all your Hydras that hadn't been stormed at all, and all your Ravagers just throwing corrosive vials all over his army, and Hydras just auto attacking him down. Could have gone so much better. But again, I don't like this army composition. I have to keep reiterating that because I don't want you to be like, wait, should I? I'm saying it's not bad. Don't fucking make Ravagers against Skytoss. It's terrible. Yeah, and then now.
Oh yeah, he attacks when I attack.
Yeah, well, it's just getting to a point where you're no longer fighting Skytoss that is only 30 supply of his overall composition. Now you're fighting Skytoss that is like 60 or 70 supply of his overall composition, which means this is when Ravagers fucking suck.
Yeah.
Like you might be able to kill a few units here and there. The only way this works now, like especially since you're also going Infestors, like we talked about last time, was if you somehow catch him clumped up in the middle of the map or something, and you fungal him and then bile the shit out of his entire army and you blow it all up at once. Is the only way this works. If he's already spread out like it already is, you'll never beat it.
There's no base trading at Protoss, is there? I mean,
you can.
As a Zerg, majority of the time as a Zerg, you have the worst odds.
I will say you do not want to base trade a Protoss if you're in a situation where you're on 180 supply of Roach Ravager and he's maxed out on Skytoss plus Ground Army plus Immortal.
I can't fight his army.
Like that already is a losing condition for you. That like it's not guaranteed over, but you're definitely not in a good spot. Base trades against Protoss generally go better as well with more high mobility units. So if you're gonna base trade, if your plan is I want to base trade Protoss, you'd be much better off having a composition that's something like Mutalisk Zergling than Roach Ravager. Because Roach Ravager can be easily pushed away by so many things. Like, let's just say you base trade and he's like, oh, I'll just have 5 disruptors. Keep throwing balls at you as I run back through my base. As you kill my base, you keep getting hit by disruptor balls. And then you're blowing up 4 Ravagers at a time and you're like, God, this sucks. Like it also doesn't clear the economy out very fast. The beautiful thing about mutas, especially in base trade scenarios, is you can wipe out his economy before you kill his base, which means he can't use his base anymore. And then the beautiful thing about Zerglings in a base trade scenario is Zerglings actually are the fastest unit at killing bases out of all of Zerg units. They're actually, with fully upgraded adrenal glandlings, they are the fastest unit at killing bases in the entire game.
Oh, really?
Like Lings supply, with how fast they get around building to building and how hard they hit those buildings when they're on them, Lings can wipe out a base the fastest out of any unit in the game if there's nothing that's killing them at the same time. And mutas are what make that happen, because mutas go fly in, wipe out the cannons, wipe out any little units like one Templar here, one Templar there, an Archon here or there, and they will also kill the probes so that you can't keep making units like that to keep redefending your base. So yeah.
So I will go mutas sometimes.
Okay.
Last time I did, they countered with IAC, and it just.
Yeah, I think
Hello.
I think going base
Late
trade.
games,
I think going base trade is it's a fine thing to do if you're like, shit, I have no other choice. But I don't think
Yeah.
your original choice should be, okay, every game I'm just gonna base trade. Because if it was, you should definitely be opening with Aspire, and you're not
Yeah.
really capitalizing on that in these games because you're favored more on the Roach style.
Yeah, I definitely try and avoid the base trade. It's just, it seems like it always happens. I'll attack, and then they'll just be like, okay, I'm gonna attack you, and then I get into a base trade and I lose. So
It won't happen like that. This kind of goes into the same things we talked about before as well. It won't happen like that. If you have a more efficient build, you get your supply up faster, and you're keeping the Protoss on defense. Because what's happening is your build is not efficient enough, and you're allowing the Protoss to maintain your supply with you, which is not good. And then the Protoss and you are both having, like, the Protoss has a scarier army than you do because you have Roach Ravager, he has Tech, and you both have the same supply.
technically, yeah.
So that's that for you. That's when you're like, shit, I'm on defense now. This is scary. And then you're not ready to deal with what he has, which sucks.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm dead here. Like if.
Yeah, for sure. There's no way.
Lords, yep.
But to give you a final recap on all of it, optimize the build like we talked about in game 1. It'll help you so much. And then I would say to follow up on that, do a timing, like max out on 200 supply with something along the lines of Roach Hydra. Stop using Ravagers unless you're getting all in. Do not make them unless it's an all in. Okay. So don't use them aggressively, only use them defensively. And then you can use them aggressively if you've just defended something. Does that make sense? Like, don't ever force an attack. Okay, good. So max out the first time on a composition like that. Like Roach Hydra ideally, and so on and so on. And then you should be investing your economy into going into Hive quickly right after that. That way, your second max does not have to continuously be Roach, Hydra. It could now be, okay, my second max, after I killed let's just say you shove the Protoss back into 3 bases. You're on 4, maybe even 5 bases. And now you're like, okay, the Protoss has a lot of Immortals. This is scary. I'm going to go into Broodlords. You have the option to do that because you actually teched while you were maxing out. And now your second max does not have to be Roaches again. It could be Broodlords and Zerglings or something better like that.
Okay.
Or if the guy's like going Skytoss, like we've seen you go against 2 times here, you the other thing is the scouting we talked about. Try to definitely have some Zerglings around his base, and also try to have like that Overseer that when as soon as you hit layer, it'd be like fly through his base, figure out what he's doing, and if you catch wind of Skytoss, you don't have to max out on Roach Hydra then. You could be like, oh, it's Skytoss, really early. He's not transitioning into it late game. He's rushing to it right away. Let's just go Corruptor Ling. And again, if you want an example of that, go watch that replay I told you about, that Pilly one. It will you'll blow your mind. You'll be like, wow, Corruptor Ling is fucking good.
Oh yeah. Oh man, well I appreciate it.
Yeah.
What about one last thing, like first Mortal Archon talked about I can go Muta, right? I mean anything
You
but
can.
Stargate.
You can.
Yeah.
You could even go, honestly, you can go Muta styles against Stargate even. The only thing you have to do against if they go Stargate is you have to add in Corruptors to it too. Because Corruptors will beat Phoenix. A Corruptor and a Phoenix cost the exact same amount of resources and a Corruptor beats a Phoenix.
Okay.
The one tip I'll give you if you end up in a situation like that is if you see he's going Phoenix and you're like, I'm going Corruptor, Muta, and Zergling, get Carapace upgrades. Because if you don't get Carapace upgrades, there is a chance his Phoenix could overpower your Corruptor. So get
Okay.
Carapace upgrades. Because if you get Carapace upgrades, Corruptors they take no fucking damage from Phoenix then. Like, it's ridiculous how good they are.
Okay. Alright, cool, man. Sounds good. I appreciate it.
Alright, dude. Thank you again, and good luck.
Alright. Thanks, dude. Later.
See you, man. Alright, guys. That's been another coaching lesson with me, your boy, ViBE. And, that was 11. Good luck, 11. Good luck! And I'll be posting that on YouTube later, guys. So if you guys want to watch that again or watch anything else like that where I coach somebody, yeah, lots of them up on the tubes. Lots of them on the tubes.